All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the City of West Sacramento Parks, Recreation, and Intergenerational Services Commission on April 1st, 2025 at 6:06 p.m. Can I have Aaron Ayala do the Pledge of Allegiance, please? You're the best. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Chair Rosas,
Present.
Vice Chair Galvan, Commissioner Ahmad,
Present.
Commissioner Jans, Commissioner Archuleta, Commissioner Ramsey, Commissioner Shatzel,
Present.
Alternate Member Gonzalez. We have a quorum.
Perfect. All right, that's going to bring us to number 1, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the commission. Any general public comment? The only comment cards I've received are for items. Good. Okay. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. Consideration of approval of the minutes of the February 4th, 2025 meeting of the West Sacramento Parks, Recreation, and Intergenerational Services Commission. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Shatzel and a second by Commissioner Archuleta. All right, that's going to go ahead and bring us to our regular agenda, which is consideration of proposal for a memorial bench and tree dedication at Southport Gateway Park in memory of Cecilia Wilson. Aaron Ayala.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Aaron Ayala, and I'm the Parks and Recreation Business Manager. I am here tonight to present a proposal for a memorial bench and tree dedication at Southport Gateway Park in memory of Cecilia Wilson for your consideration. Applications for proposed memorials are managed by the Parks Department and presented to the Parks, Recreation, and Intergenerational Services Commission for consideration and approval. Park staff received an application for a memorial bench and tree at Southport Gateway Park honoring community member Cecilia Wilson. Cecilia Wilson was a West Sacramento resident, mother, and professional. She was very active in her community and participated in a number of volunteer and community outreach activities. I would like to give a few of her former colleagues an opportunity to share a bit more about Cecilia.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and have Tracy and Bethany come up to the podium. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. All right, I'm here today to talk about the proposed bench for Gateway Park in honor of Cecilia Wilson. I'm Tracy Kelch, a resident of West Sacramento, friend and coworker of Cecilia's. And I'm here on behalf of Ginkgo Bioworks, who plans to donate this bench. Cecilia Rosal Wilson was the single most bright, joyous, effervescent, fun, kind, positive, and honest person I've ever met. She leaves behind a wonderful husband, Dave, and 2 amazing daughters, Melanie and Ella. They have resided in West Sacramento and been a part of the community for over 10 years. Ella and Melanie attend Our Lady of Grace, where parent volunteering is required. Cecilia treated this not as a responsibility, but as an opportunity to contribute, and was such an active, willing, and engaged volunteer that they even offered her a part-time job for the school. She formed many lasting friendships with the parents at OLG, and her support of the school was exceptional. Additionally, she supported Our Lady of Grace Church with her efforts as well. I first met her when I was hired to her team at AgriQuest in 2011, and she was a plant pathologist conducting research to produce biological pesticides. Cecilia quickly welcomed me onto her team and would listen to old school R&B and talk about our dreams and goals while we ran experiments. One of her most beautiful qualities is the time she took to get to know everyone and the details of their lives. If you had a serious problem in your life, she was there to listen without judgment. I believe that in no small part, Cecilia was responsible for the inclusive community and culture that developed at our work. She always made a point to introduce herself to new people, get to know them, introduce them to other colleagues, and then be sure they knew exactly what events were going on at the site. And she also spoke fluent Spanish. So anytime she met someone who spoke Spanish, she looked for it as an opportunity to practice it. My first Christmas at AgriQuest, she made a Christmas tree out of lights on the wall behind our cubicles and solicited everyone to make snowflakes to decorate it with, and this became a long-lasting tradition. AgriQuest was acquired by Bayer and relocated to West Sacramento, and she joined all the employee resource groups and was an active participant in all events, including ones like making miniature Pride Parade floats, baking cakes for the baby showers, participating in Lunar New Year's and Nowruz celebrations, and Day of the Dead celebrations. If there was a party, Cecilia was not only the first to be on the dance floor or volunteering for karaoke, but also to take it upon herself to bring others into the fun and make sure everyone was included and enjoying themselves. I would also say that Cecilia's definition of a party was very loose because she found a way that even making a one-on-one interaction or regular work lunch seemed more alive and exciting. She once told me, all you need is a cake and friends to have a party. She also cared deeply about giving back through the resource groups. Every year she would make sure our work would adopt families from stake and even convinced me to extracurricularly volunteer with her unloading the donations. Additionally, she coordinated Toys for Tots donations and backpack drives. She was a regular blood donor and participated in every blood drive at work. She's also the only person I would randomly run into at Vitalant because she was that dedicated of a donor. And she continued to donate even throughout COVID when a lot of people stopped going in for donations. When our company would host community volunteer events with West Sac at the community farms and parks, she always volunteered for the toughest and dirtiest jobs. Sometimes I think of her like Hermione Granger in Harry Potter Book 3. She must have had a time turner to be such a great contributor to homework, family, volunteering, and everything she did. She was also a fitness fanatic and was an active member at Results Gym here in West Sacramento. And she was passionate for exercise. She would host workout classes at our gym at work and even virtual classes during COVID for us. And this is one more way in which Cecilia became a vibrant member of the West Sac community and with her participation at Results. It's amazing how Cecilia has touched every part of my life. She taught me how to shop for a discount and was very disturbed by news when I got minor work done on my house and I didn't ask 3 vendors for quotes and then tried to negotiate with them to do it less for cash on the off season. Her daughter Ella was the first baby I ever held. She showed me how to say yes to any opportunity to have fun, and even more so, how to see opportunities for fun and potentially boring ones. Above all, Cecilia was an amazing mom and wife. The home she built and stabilized with her husband for her family was a true representation of the love and legacy she will leave behind for them. She always cares for everyone in a mothering and caring way. On her first date with her husband, she made sure that she made a homemade chicken and rice dinner for him before they went out dancing. The innumerable lessons that she's imparted to her kids around self-care, having fun, showing your love for others, thoughtful budgeting, and working hard to play hard will endure through them. Cecilia is deeply missed by everyone who her light shined on, and through installing a park bench in her memory, it is one more way in which we can honor her beautiful memory and provide support to the community she cared about so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, good evening. My name is Bethany Gale. Thank you for the time to honor Cecilia. So I've had the privilege of knowing Cecilia since college, but got to work with her for the last 10 years. She was an incredible bright light, and she brought joy and kindness and inspiration wherever she was. She had so much energy that she gave to her community and her loved ones, and everything she put herself into was highly impactful. Her laughter was the best. You could hear it from down the hallway or across a parking lot, and no matter what kind of bad mood you were in or how grumpy you were, that laugh would just brighten your day. She was magic like that. From her immediate family to her daughter's school to the blood bank to the gym to work, all of the spaces and lives that were in those places were measurably better because she was in them. She was taken from this earth far too young, and it would mean so much to all of her loved ones, including her daughters, to have a place to come and honor her legacy, a public place. So thank you very much for your consideration and your time this evening.
Ooh, thank you so much. Aaron, just a clarifying question. In terms of, assuming, the commission approves this, what are the next steps after this leaves the PRIS?
Once you have made a motion and approved it, then we can go ahead and move forward and chat with the colleagues and the coworkers and the friends and talk about an exact location in the park. We have a price list for the different plaques and locations, and probably using a pre-existing bench and then finding a species of tree that aligns with the palette of the park. So it would just be working through the kind of the fine points and then getting it installed.
Do any commissioners have any comment?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Before I just want to say thank you for speaking about Cecilia. I did not know Cecilia, but a lot of my friends did. And so her impact has definitely been felt. And I want to thank her family for being here. I know it must be really hard. And to her girls, I know that's hard. I think it's even kind of, I feel honored to be here to listen to the things you've said about Cecilia in order to memorialize her with the bench. It almost seems silly to be have to approve it even, but I think that I'm really touched by your words, and I appreciate this is what we can do as a park commission for you all. So thank you.
I 100% agree.
And I second the motion.
All right, well, I got a motion and a second. A motion by Commissioner Schatzel and a second by Commissioner Ahmad. All in favor? Aye. All right. All right, that's going to go ahead and bring us to item number 4, update to the City of West Sacramento's 2024 Age-Friendly Action Plan. And before we move to item number 4, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day and coming. Have a good rest of your evening. Oh, yes. Can I call Christy Wood to give her public comment? Thank you.
Hi there. Good evening, Chair and members. My name is Christy Woods, and I serve as AARP's Associate State Director for Advocacy in the Sacramento metro area. I'm here on behalf of more than 4,150 AARP members in West Sacramento to express our support for the renewal of the Age-Friendly Action Plan. AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people to choose how they live as they age. Locally, one of our top priorities is promoting the creation of livable communities. We are strongly committed to helping build age-friendly communities across California and the nation. We know that the more connected, engaged people are with their community, the more likely they are to age successfully and remain living in their homes as they age, as the vast majority wish to do. That is why AARP California has worked alongside public officials, community leaders, and residents across the state to plan for and enact changes that will improve the lives of older adults and people of all ages and abilities. We are proud that West Sacramento was one of the first cities in California to sign on to AARP's network of age-friendly states and communities in 2015. Since then, more than 100 California cities and counties have enrolled in the network, representing nearly 2/3 of the state's population. California's population is aging. In fact, by 2030, 1 in 4 Californians will be 65 and older. And by 2035, the number of adults over 65 will be greater than the number of children under 19. These statistics demonstrate the importance of having a plan in place for this changing demographic. That is why we appreciate the City of West Sacramento's continued commitment to building a California that works for older adults and their families. Thank you.
Hold on one second. Wait, hold on, we can't reply to public comment. Okay, her name's Christy Wood. Right.
Have a presentation, so I'll wait for a moment until that gets pulled up. This will respond. Perfect. Got it. All right. Good evening. Commissioners, Chair Rosas. My name is Kaisa Miller. I work for the City Manager's Office as a Senior Analyst. And tonight, I come before you with an updated age-friendly action plan. I'll do a brief background and overview of the plan. And your role tonight is to provide any comments or feedback before I take it to City Council for adoption at a future date. So I would like to note that this plan was before you in October of last year. You probably recognize that. It has a slightly different look. I just made it look a little bit prettier, I guess.
Yes.
But this was really, John Robinson was behind this. He was there on October, ready to present to all of you, and had an extenuating circumstance that took him away from the night. And then he retired in December. And so here I am before you. So that is why I am here today. But I also have an opportunity to work on a handful of these programs in here, and he grandfathered or handed this off to me. So while the city has had a variety of aging services for many years, the city enrolled, as Christy mentioned, in the age-friendly communities in 2015. And then once that happened, we meaning John and AARP, and to create and adopt the first age-friendly action plan that came out in 2017. So I'll point out two things here. First, this plan really helps to instill an age-friendly lens. That's really critical so that staff, commissions, and council can have that lens to look at things through. That'll help us when we focus on projects and programs. And then the second, as Christy mentioned, we happen to be one of the first communities in the state to adopt a plan. So that was fun. Thanks for mentioning that. So the document was about we were ready to update in 2020, and y'all know what happened then. So time flies by, and here we are. So here we go. So since the last plan, we've had some changes in our population, and this age-friendly lens is even more important now that we are seeing this trend increase, as Christy was mentioning, in a larger scale, but then specifically in West Sacramento, but then also in Yolo County. So these are just two different ways to look at it. You can see the much more detail in the action plan, but I just wanted to highlight that there is a good increase from the last plan that we had. And generally speaking, the population distribution is heavier in the northern section of West Sacramento. So that hasn't changed from the last time. So how do we get some of our feedback? We can't be everywhere and do it at all, but these are just some of the ways that we did some outreach in this last go round. We had a Meals on Wheels and a Senior Resource Fair survey that we got out. And like I said, in here, you have a lot more details on that information. Secondly, the age-friendly newsletter, we had a phone survey, so people that didn't feel like they could do an online thing, they could just call in and answer some questions on there. And the newsletter goes out to over 500 people. It's mailed to their home. I don't know if any of you receive it, but we have quite a few people on that list. We also did an online survey that did have quite a few responses on there. We also asked for that online survey, I don't know if it was in here, but at the community center and a few other places, if anyone wanted to take it and they needed assistance, the staff helped them to answer that for them. And then the last line on there was a statistical survey that gave us some good insights for the plan. So the outreach for the original age-friendly action plan suggested that older residents were most interested in these like 3 broad categories, and they're on connectivity, safety, and quality of life. So that's kind of how we continue to take that and move that into this plan and just organize our goals into those 3 broad categories. And then the first one, connectivity, we have 5 goals. And like I said, they go into much more detail in here, but a sidewalk and transportation equity program. And then goal 2, Sac Avenue Complete Streets program. Goal 3, implement the HSIP program, which is about collisions and improving areas in the city to reduce collisions. Goal 4, the adding an age-friendly component to the bikes, pedestrian, and trails master plan. So that did not happen in the last round, but we wanted to make sure we pulled that through again, and that would happen in this round. Goal 5, continue to encourage the use of the VIA rideshare program. And when I was at the rec center, I was there for a long time. That was one of the things that I did all the time was help seniors enroll in the VIA program. We probably still do that, right? Yeah. And then we move into the safety category. So goal 6, one of the programs that I oversee directly is the Safe at Home program. And we want to commit to 20 additional Safe at Home program or projects. There is a typo in there that I will adjust as this is a draft. It says 4,508 per household in there. That is a typo. So I've already adjusted it on mine. It's $508 is an average per household in there. So just so you know. And that was the, handrails and a variety of different things to help people be safer living at home. I'm passionate about that one because I talk to people all the time about that one. Goal 7, implement at least 4 Coffee with a Cop events per year, specifically, and with at least one of them I think is focused on the aging population. And then goal 8, reach 1,200 views of the city's fire safety video, targeting seniors. And then the last 2, quality of life, these are not less important by any means, but they are very expansive in each one of those goals. But expand the utilization of the city's active agent programming. And then goal 10, expand outreach to older adults. So I wanted to just mention that, this action plan is not intended to just be a checklist and, we did this, we didn't do this, but it's really a tool to help staff, commissions like you, council, view it through that age-friendly lens I mentioned. Things might come along between now and at the end of this that are not in here. And we just want you to know that it doesn't mean that we're not interested in doing those things. We need to be mobile and flexible when things come up. But it's really important, just like any master plan, that we have a plan so that we're continually moving and making progress towards it. So we'll keep our eyes open as more opportunities come about. So today you are you have an opportunity to share some feedback and some comments, as I mentioned before. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But as I said, I wasn't the mastermind behind this. John was. He lived and breathed this. But I can certainly do my best.
John is definitely missed. Thank you so much, Kaisa. I'm going to open it up to the commission. I'm going to start on this side and then move over. So any commissioner comments? Your mic.
All right. Can you hear me better? All right. Overall, I thought it was pretty good, well put together. The information it gave, I was able to read, gave me more data than I had the last time I read it. So overall, I think that was pretty good, but I seen some things inside there that I was kind of interested to, because I had an opportunity since the last time I read this, and I wasn't here originally when it was put together either. So some of the things that I seen that I didn't see on here, because when I see when I think of seniors, I don't see them just starting at 65. I look further on when people start to slow down in their age group. I'm thinking around 50 years old. And from other reports I've seen, we have one of the most detrimental things to a senior is a fall. So we want to be able to keep that from happening by giving them opportunities to get out, strengthen, and exercise, get out in the open spaces. And like you said, safe open spaces. One of those things I have not been able to see was walking within our parks. We have nice green spaces. They're clean, safe, lots of things to do if you're younger. But you start to age, the level of the ground needs to be more level, visible for a senior to walk so that they know that they're not going to step to a dip. So I thought what they can still do is they can still walk. So it's important that we keep them moving, mobility and strengthening the legs so they're less likely to trip, fall. There's that. It'll also help them in the household too to keep. So I'd like to see, if it's possible, if we consider, because we have an opportunity in the north side, since the north side's aging really fast. Since we have a Bright Park coming in, to figure out how we might be able to get some of those composite trails that they have at McKinley Park in Sacramento. I don't think it takes a lot to maintain those type of gravel, dirt walking trails. I have been using them for a long time too. And it doesn't take away from anybody else in the youth, because they're used for walking, they're used for running, and everybody knows that running and walking on those type of composite trails is a lot easier on your knees than in concrete. And a lot of those trails are adjacent to the concrete trails that go around the sidewalk. So it helps to maintain those. I'd like to see a little bit, if it's possible, to get at least a portion of the park, have that kind of a trail on the side there, and more benches and shade, so that because seniors can't go as far, they might be able to take a break, sit down on a bench, and then continue their exercise or make their way back. But at least they get an opportunity to be out there with the youth, to enjoy the open spaces near their home, and get the exercise that they need to. And possibly even another thing would be to strategically put out maybe water faucet along the way, if that's possible, so that they can stay hydrated, because seniors need to stay hydrated when they're out. But other than that, I think what I've seen is very exciting. I love to be on some type of work group to help when you go into the additional plans you're considering doing too, to give input on that too, if it's possible, if you need anybody else to volunteer, get in on it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Christy, you hear that?
Commissioner Ramsey?
Hi.
Hi.
I met with John about 3 hours on October 31st about this specifically. Went through page by page with him. I congratulate you for what you've done with it, except that I really can't find that many changes. I'm extremely concerned about this particular plan. I've had a stroke, and that's why sometimes I'm aphasic, but, we got to live with it, or I have to anyway. Yeah, because I asked him specifically if I could have a questionnaire that was passed out. And he said no, because obviously you can see what I emphasize. Well, if these are the only things emphasized in a questionnaire, I don't feel like it encompasses all of everyone's thinking. For instance, the Meals on Wheels and the Margaret McDowell formed most of his conglomerate of answers. And I've spoken to the Meals on Wheels woman for West Sac, and I've spoken to the Margaret McDowell. Meals on Wheels in West Sac has between 75 to 80% almost completely shut in. The Margaret McDowell Center, on the other hand, has about 80% on walkers. And I can understand why, if all you got is a hammer, I guess everything looks like a nail. If all you got is a walker, I guess you are gonna, look at street improvement. I'll be glad I offered this to him at the time. I'll be more than happy to go over this specifically with you at a later date if you want, or with you and Christy Woods, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But to just start off, one of my main, and in another part of the data, you point out that 95% of the older population drive. Well, if 95% of us are driving, why is most of the data pulled from a smaller group that isn't? Because I understand why, because that was a captive audience, but it'd be like pulling your information from one captive audience and say a hospital, rather than from a total population. I don't have any disagreements with goal number 1. Goal number 2 and goal number 3 do not need to be in an age specific plan because they are not age specific. Everybody is worried about how Sacramento Avenue looks. Everyone is concerned about the highway safety improvement program from 20 on. They are not specific to an age group. Oh, by the way, I'm also on the Yolo County Commission on Aging and Adult Services, and also on the Emergency Services Council for Yolo County. So I'm just letting you know that AARP, I really appreciate them. And in fact, I gave one of their plans to John at the time. I agree with 4, but I have a real problem with the ADA requirements that were all supposed to be fulfilled. And then I read in several places that they weren't. In 2018, they were supposed to be included in the park, and that they haven't been for 7 years. There is no adequate handicap parking. There is no adequate access to that river walk. There is no adequate, there's one parking space that's handicapped at the Ziggurat building and one down in over by where Ahmad lives, and there's one, Arouge lives, sorry, and there's one that's planned down near Brighton, and that's not adequate for our population. There is no way to adequately access the Riverwalk or any of the paths around here. And I feel like we are just getting left out. Number 5 is fine. Number 6 is fine. And although I have to date, this program serves 27 residents. We were allotted $40,000 in 2023, correct?
Yep. 47 residents, yes. But yes,
40,000.
47 residents and 40,000. We still have remaining funds in that, and we're still
And how much? About,
remaining funds.
yeah.
8,000, 10,000, something like that,
Okay.
remaining in there.
So,
It's part of it is just, making sure we're getting out the word, and it's really a grassroots effort. We're mailing it out to people, but then the best thing that happens is a neighbor tells a neighbor.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's happening.
about,
We've never turned anyone away.
right.
So, I mean,
No,
well,
no.
I shouldn't say that. If they don't meet the income requirements, then they, and then to Archuletta's point, in that particular program, there is no age specific. It's 50-ish plus. I mean, we're very loose on that. So if you have a need, no problem.
Yeah, I actually am for that program very much because I've worked as a volunteer with that through the stroke community as well. But let's see, I would say goal number 7, why is that in here? And, I'm sorry, but we get to see the cops 1/4 of the time, and yet that is one of your goals, Okay, and then goal number 8, like I would have liked to see 7 and 8 maybe combined as a safety thing. And I can see number 8. I love the senior citizen over here. But as far as outreach goes, yeah, you aren't touching most of us. This questionnaire that was given out didn't hit me. I have gotten numerous questionnaires over online about the police department. I have, I go to lots of functions. The reason I missed filling it out at the resource fair, sorry about that, but I was passing out things to everyone.
That's where I met you,
Yeah.
at the resource fair.
So I wasn't, I wasn't able to at that time. But I feel like, and like I said, I'll be more than happy to go over this with you. But I feel like conspicuously absent are any ADA plan. I know that those are supposed to be done, but I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know where, and I certainly don't feel like it in my life that there are adequate ADA anything around here. There's a dearth of handicap parking, almost no access to public spaces, anywhere from the park to the hike and bike trail, anywhere, especially the walking path. The hike and bike trail that goes along the river that everybody congratulates themselves on. There's a dearth of parking and no access to get from where you park to the actual path. There's no way. You have to walk through or over or above or under or some way other than, a straight path. There's also a total lack of handicap anything.
Commissioner Ramsey, I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up your comments.
Okay. There's a total lack of help anything, either psychological, social, or like you were talking, falls. There's a total lack of it. So if you want, I will be more than happy to give you my number and tell you the same things I told John.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Commissioner Ramsey, I would ask you to reach out to staff, and then they'll go ahead and connect you to Kaisa. Okay. Commissioner Ahmad?
Thank you for your presentation. It's I have been it's been very knowledgeable for me over the course of the time I've been on the commission to learn about the age-friendly plan for the city. I take a lot of pride in the fact that West Sac has been ahead of the curve on that. And as someone that lives with a disability, I have a hidden disability. I think that what we do for our aging community really benefits people with, with different abilities and really kind of decentralized ableist cultures. So I appreciate that and all the work that goes into it. Over time, I think the new stats and stuff you all share with us is just very insightful. I have a couple questions regarding, and this might be like you mentioned at the end of your presentation that there's a lot, and then the finer details will come out as it's implemented. When you mentioned connectivity as one of the 3 goals, I was wondering in what ways, and it's okay if that's not anything specific hasn't been worked out or talked about, in what ways is connectivity being thought about in terms of helping community groups and nonprofits implement these goals? So for instance, I work extensively with the refugee populations here in West Sacramento. A lot of them come from Afghan countries, bringing their aging parents with them, or I have friends who are non-Afghan and moving their parents into this community. I have, for instance, I liked what West Sacramento was doing for aging seniors, and I moved my parents here with me. So if I were a nonprofit and I have a need in my community, and I know that the population skews more white and Latino, but what's the plan for engaging nonprofits and then they can be a partner in implementing some of that connectivity? That's my first question, and then I'll move on to the next.
I actually don't know if I have an answer, except that the only way we can serve the population is by working with a variety of people, because everyone has like their niches, and working together really makes it happen much faster. And sometimes we work together, and sometimes people, nonprofits and stuff have their own missions, and we just kind of coexist together and helping aid each other. So I don't have an exact answer, but I could get back to you on that. I can't think of anything right now off the top of my head, except that we are open to opportunities as they come up if it makes sense for the city to get involved. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes that can actually restrict some of the things that they do. So.
Oh, that makes sense. And I think just to share with you, one of the things that I've, this is because it came up the last 3 weeks, 3 different times that I was out and about in the community, that seniors came up or people are asking questions about like what to do about their aging parents, family members, et cetera. And there's this wealth of knowledge that I have in front of me right now. And I'm like, oh, how do I make sure that they're getting that as well? For instance, if they are doing their own parallel programs, sort of like makes no sense to reinvent the wheel if it's already kind of been worked by the city. There's a plan in place and they can kind of plug into it or just at least glean information. So it seems like a lost opportunity. So yeah, maybe we can in the future work that part out. And the other question I had was about, I think what Commissioner Ramsey mentioned with safety, goal number 7. I know it sort of focuses on meeting with law enforcement, but is there any plan to have fire or EMT be involved with those meet and greets? My father lives with me, and in the course of the last 2 years, we've had more ambulance show up at our house or firefighters because of his health issues than we have had cops show up. And my dad has cardiac issues. He has other ailments as well. So is there any plan, or has there been any talk of, for instance, one of the things was when my dad was taken on a gurney, like making, when your families, when you're having to call the ambulance because your father or somebody's ill, there's a lot of like chaos and commotion, and the firefighters are pretty great, but it would be good to know, for instance, if your parent would need that, to have like what to do, have medications on hand, and make sure you have, because one of the things he asked me to do when Dad was having heart issues was like, where's his medication? I was like, I don't know. And so maybe like having that in mind as well, because I think that interaction is probably more likely than it would be talking to a cop.
And you just made me think of something actually, and maybe somewhat related, unrelated, but we could add something like that to the newsletter that we send out as something for them to consider adding, or, you know, having those things on a list, or, you know, something like that, because we always need content for the newsletter.
Okay.
But thank you for that feedback. I don't have a specific reason other than I think because of what you said, fire is a little bit more regularly engaged in the community in a lot of different ways. And I think the purpose of this was to break down barriers with the police department, because they have a little bit more of a barrier to making people feel comfortable with that group. So I think that's why it was focused on.
Yeah, no, I understand the logic there. I think people say safety, that's what comes to mind, but I think that would be, the onus would be on the city then to redefine what safety means, because it's not always about people breaking into your home. It's also about like personal safety. Falling, the statistic you mentioned about falling is such a huge risk for, you know, for seniors, and it could, and hence the ramps and such. So I think maybe even people themselves don't know that maybe I should be more acquainted with my fire department than I would be with my local police department because of my own personal safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Schatzel, any comment?
Oh, that's better. There we go. Hi, thank you for redoing the report. It's much more attractive, much easier to read, and it was helpful than before. So thanks, I appreciate that. I'm going to try to be succinct. I'm glad Commissioner Ramsey said a lot of the things that she did, because I don't have to, because she did, but I do want to second a lot of things she said. I'm glad the program is back in, where some small grants were provided to people if they applied to make home improvements. In the original plan, it was out. It didn't really explain why, but it was eliminated, and we brought it up to the CDBG folks last meeting. Can that money be put in here to keep that, fix a door, fix a window, put in a ramp? Not inexpensive, but sometimes it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that's back. With respect to the county, the original report had information from Norway and stuff. I'm more interested in what's going on in Woodland and Davis, and I appreciate that. And I hear a lot about bus stops, and people don't access the bus because they don't like to go to the bus stops because they're not comfortable. So maybe that's a county-wide thing that we can look at, that do we have the same issues they have with respect to bus stop? Shopping, you know, we're talking about connectivity, being able to walk somewhere to shop, because we have some neighborhoods where you just can't. So maybe somehow we can encourage shopping businesses to move in so people can walk their dog to the store, you know, that kind of thing. I am in total denial about AARP. You know, I'm not there. When I was younger than 50, 50 was really old, you know. Now I'm way older than 50, and thank goodness for our fire department and ambulance that took me to do my bypass surgery. I'm still in denial, and a 50-year-old is a kid to me now, okay? So it jumped out at me when I read the report first. The age group of 50 to 80 is enormous. And you know, we've been in the Parks and Rec business a long time. The definition of age seems to change. Like it was 65, then it became the category of frail elderly, because over 70, that's everybody's frail and you're elderly. Okay. But then everybody started trying to retire, excuse me, earlier. So where is the retirement? So what is the definition of aged now? I mean, you know, I play softball with 70-year-olds, and 65-year-olds have more energy than a 40-year-old. So maybe in the report we can address what's the latest definition of aged. I don't know. I mean, so maybe that would help me. Okay, how old am I? How bad am I really? I guess that's what I'm looking for. But other than that, I mean, those are the things, you know, to pile on what Commissioner Ramsey had to say. Those are the things that jumped out at when I read the report. And I know I'll think of something here in a second. Thank you.
Wonderful. This was really good dialogue. And I would encourage the commission, if you have any more questions, or if you really want to take a deep dive into this plan, please connect with Erin or Brandy, and she would be more than happy to connect you with Kaisa. I just want to thank you for your time and coming out and giving us a wonderful presentation.
I don't know if you guys know, the community academy is going on downstairs, which I'm also in charge of. So I had an issue with being in two places at one time. So I'm going to run out and go back down there. It's
Good thing you don't got to drive. Commissioner Archuleta.
I just wanted to ask one quick question. One of the things, I think it has to do with connectivity or mobility for the aging. We have a good program that's installed in our city now, which is called VIA. One of the things I would like to see too is so those that use the VIA have a safer place to be picked up or dropped off, especially when we're talking about seniors. I know there's a lot of places that you go. It's nice to see those bus stops where you can turn in, get out of traffic, pick somebody up, and then take off. The reason why I'm saying is because I don't volunteer, but I do part-time VIA services myself. And there's a lot of issues when we come up to pick up seniors. Sometimes they have to step out in traffic because there's no place to park outside. It can be pretty dangerous. So I think when we're thinking about those routes we might consider in the future, maybe making some destinations a little easier, especially if they're coming into our busy intersection, like Jefferson or Harbor. That's it. Just something to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaisa. All right, that's going to go ahead and bring us to General Administration Function Part 2, the Director's Report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Brandy Dion, and I'm the Recreation Center Manager, and I will be giving the Director's Report this evening. Construction at West Acre Park has begun. The contractor, Abide Builders, was on site and began mobilizing on March 24th. City staff was able to participate in a demolition event on March 25th. Parks and Capital Project staff were able to swing the first sledgehammers at the project site. And let me tell you, Aaron got after it. If you have not seen that video, it's worth watching.
Oh, I need to see this video.
The Heritage Oaks Park implementation project is nearly at 100% design. The project is expected to go into construction this summer. The Alice Norman Park Master Plan RFP for design has been closed and evaluations are currently pending. A firm should be selected sometime in April. The public boat dock is anticipated to be open for the 2025 boating season starting Memorial Day through Labor Day. City staff will be issuing an RFP for a dock attendant to ensure that the dock has the appropriate level of oversight to allow for safe docking for users. Docking will be permitted for the day use only from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and users will be required to pay a fee for docking. The fee has not yet been established and will require approval by the City Council. This concludes my report.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brandy. Commissioner Communications. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Commissioner Schatzel. We're going to move down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Westside Trail Riders would like to thank Jason and the park maintenance staff for putting up the plaque on the bench. Thank you. In recognition of one of our former members. So we appreciate doing that. And yeah, I saw the video about wrecking the building. You guys, man, I ain't never getting you mad at me. I'll tell you, the way you guys went after it with the sledgehammers. Anyway, thank you.
Awesome. Commissioner Ahmad? No comments? All right. Commissioner Ramsey, any comments? No? All right. Commissioner Archuleta?
I like to say something too. Recognize Jason over there too, because I know that I've often gone over there to talk with Jason about things that we can do and he's always been willing to lend the ear. So, other things to make things happen there too that they haven't had a chance to get to with the public. So thank you very much for having that open. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Ramsey?
Yeah, I thought of something. The aging, when I was at the Aging and Adult Services Council last month, Meals on Wheels is having some of their money cut off, as you know, or may not. And that is taking money from those that really, really need it. So they're working at their very best to get what they can with that. But I do know that here in West Act, we have something called Swap Shop Group on Facebook, and we swap food. So that's like something, you know, donate.
I did not know we had that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right, and I do have a question. When do you guys believe that Alice Norman had a master plan would come before the commission? I know you guys are barely choosing the design group, but just a ballpark, maybe early next year, later this year? Okay, cool. All right, well, that wraps up my comment. Okay, Commissioner Ahmad.
About Heritage Oaks, I know that Emil's kind of on that, about when they're supposed to open. If we
That
get
is
construction
exciting.
starting in late summer, and I'm like, but I see like they're doing improvements, so what's the,
They're still wrestling with the building department, so they are ready to go, but it's still, pending the building permit. But
Eric, do we have another community meeting for Alice Norman?
we're gonna have a whole community engagement effort. So we still have to do, we have to select a firm. We're gonna have a bunch of stakeholder groups and community engagement. So I don't know how long before it's gonna come before the Parks Commission, but I believe you guys will probably be part of the effort. So you will probably be part of shaping that master plan. And you do know that we got the grant for the dugout for Alice Norman for West Sac Girls softball. So we're really excited that they'll be able to get that hopefully constructed this summer.
All right, well, that wraps up all my communication. Thank you all so much for your diligent comments. And again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, please, I encourage you to reach out to city staff, and they'll be more than happy to address your concerns. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move.
All right, moved by Commissioner Schatzel, second by Commissioner Ahmad. I officially call this meeting adjourned at 7:03 p.m.